This is the Beat 99.9 FM. You're listening to Toolz on at the Midday Show. I have got our special guest in the studio. He is the host of the just concluded Big Brother Naija, perhaps the most talked about season of Big Brother Naija. It is EBUKA. Woo!
I was trying to do Big Brother's voice, but I'm not Big Brother, so I can't do it.
So I just want you to relax. I just want you to feel very much.
I don't know why you're threatening me.
I'm not. I'm actually not.
You threatened me on Twitter just now.
I have to say, I have been waiting for this because I've been interviewed by EBUKA a few times, and I went there thinking, oh, this is fine. He's my friend. And I left there thinking, he's my friend. Is this friendship worth it? Because this is what you do. This is what I've actually learned. Like, you ask certain questions and you do it with a smile. So you lure people into this false sense of security, like, oh, he's not going to ask me anything bad, and then you just attack, and the person's stunned, like, huh? What? Did he just ask me that? So yes, I've been waiting for this for a little while,
so
and I've got...
It's the season of Easter. Easter is a time of, this forgiving and...
It is the season of resurrection.
Yeah, resurrection.
So all the bullets I fire at you, you should be able to resurrect. So first of all, congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
This was, I'm sure, when you signed on, you probably didn't think it was going to be this crazy.
Yeah. I mean, I knew Big Brother has always been a big deal, for Nigerians and Africans as a whole. But because it hadn't come on for a couple of years, even the organizers weren't sure how it was going to be received. So it was more like, okay, let's see if people still want to watch it. We hoped it would be good, but definitely didn't think it was going to be the biggest season ever. I mean,
why do you think this was the biggest season
I think
ever?
It was a couple of things, right? First of all, Big Brother Nigeria hasn't held in a while. The last one was 11 years ago. After that, it's been African seasons, a lot of African seasons. There's been a Big Brother South Africa, I think 2 or 3 of them. So this was sort of new again for Nigerians, seeing all Nigerians in the house. Secondly, the last Big Brother Africa season was actually 3 years ago. So there was also sort of a wait for, okay, I guess it's time again. But I think the biggest reason was probably the fact that this is the first time that Big Brother went on GoTV.
So the
mass market for the first time. So there was a whole new demographic that were watching Big Brother for the first time. So it was madness, pretty much.
And I know there was some concerns that it wouldn't be as successful because there was no shower hour. There was no. I mean, what people kind of expect from Big Brother.
I wasn't worried about that, to be very honest. I mean, Big Brother, with Nigerians, even with the African seasons, the drama has always come with the Nigerians. Because the Nigerian housemates always came with that, you better know who I am. So when you have 12, 14, 16 of those personalities together, you don't need a shower hour to get this sort of drama. And I think that showed itself. As much as it was probably the most censored season of Big Brother ever.
Really?
Literally,
because of all the
kissing. No shower hour, a lot of the kissings, a lot of things were actually not broadcast because they knew, because it wasn't going to be Nigerian friendly. I mean, there were issues with National Assembly, with the National Broadcasting Corporation not wanting certain things to go on there. Even if the show was rated 18, they still didn't care. So a lot of things were not put on air, but still the drama was crazy.
What wasn't put on air?
A lot of things.
Okay.
A lot of things.
Was there like proper? Did any of the contestants have like proper for like sexy time?
Like sex.
Yes, I was trying to say it in a different way because it's just 1 o'clock. But yeah.
Not that I know of.
Okay.
To be very honest, not that I know of. I don't think anybody went that far. If anybody did, they must have been very sly about it.
Okay.
But I don't think anybody went that
far.
So
what was actually censored then?
A lot of nudity.
Okay.
A lot of nudity. There were people who walked around the house.
Other than T-Boss, who else got naked?
Well, that's what the viewers would just never know because it just never was broadcast. And since it wasn't broadcast, it can't be content anymore, so I can't talk about it.
So,
a couple of people were caught on camera doing things.
What kind of things is that?
Things.
Like, how do I say this? Like, self-happiness?
Sometimes. Sometimes, maybe. I mean, 3 months is a long time, Tolu. I don't know I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay. Let's talk a bit more about your journey.
Yeah.
Were you nervous because for the past Big Brothers it has been hosted by IK and as Nigerians, when there's something new, people like to just, put both of you up against each other and compare and contrast and everything.
Yeah.
So were you a little bit nervous?
Without a doubt. I mean, my nerves didn't have anything to do with Ike. My nerves had everything to do with the fact that I knew it was a big deal. I mean, first of all, it's live TV. Live TV, even if it's just in the room, is live TV.
Yeah.
And any screw-ups, that's it.
Yeah.
So I knew I was going to be live. I knew people were going to be watching, and they were going to take twos. But of course, secondly, I put a lot of pressure on myself. It's a show that I was on 11 years ago as a contestant. So coming back to host it, I thought was, okay, this is actually a full circle moment.
Yeah, this is like history.
And I really wanted to deliver, to prove myself. So yes, I think the very first episode, the launch.
Yeah,
of the
I
season,
think I watched. We watched the episode, the first episode, and you did seem a little bit nervous. And we were like, "Ooh, come on,
you can do it, you can do it,
you can do it."
Yeah, the very first episode, of course, I was crazy nervous, but I think after that I settled in gradually. By the third episode, I think I was good. I just started having fun. It had become second nature for me.
That is actually what we saw. The first episode, you did look a little bit nervous, but the last episode you actually looked like you were having fun. And I think that for me was actually very, very nice to see you have fun and everything, and it was really good. Now let's talk about you said that there were some issues with the National Assembly, and the NBC were asked to investigate why this Big Brother Nigeria, why it wasn't shot in Nigeria. So what are your thoughts about that? Because a lot of people talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand why the sentiments would be that way. I am, anybody who knows me and who has known me for the last couple of years know that I'm fiercely, proudly Nigerian. I'm very pro-Nigeria with a lot of things that I do, with my tweets, with my attitude, with my dressing. So I can understand why that would be a problem for people. And it also was weird for a lot of people that the very first season of Big Brother Nigeria held in Nigeria. So why this time? Why is it not holding here? But there are a lot of reasons why. I mean, anybody who was a part of the team in 2006 will tell you the sort of drama that went around, bringing it here. But even that aside, it could still have held here with all of that drama again. I mean, people have talked about the obvious power issues.
Yeah.
Would have had
there was a blackout when you were.
Yeah, when I was on the show, there was a blackout for a long period of time actually.
I had 10 hours.
Yeah, because I'm not going to mention names, but people involved with the show came and pulled the plugs, and there was all that drama. But I mean, it could have happened again. I mean, we would have to run generators for 3 months straight, and we know how much diesel is now. But all of that could have also been worked around. But the thing is, sponsorship was a problem at the start of the show, and there was no money. Because most people didn't necessarily have faith in the show. The people who had faith in the show put money behind it, but it wasn't the kind of money that would have made it hold here. Now, South Africa already had a house and a control room and everything set already, because Big Brother Africa had held there for 6 seasons, Big Brother South Africa has held there for 3 seasons, Big Brother Angola had held there for 2 seasons. So there was a house already with everything there. All we needed to do was just move it. Compared to building
a house,
everything from scratch with no money and no funding.
What about the house? What about the house that you were in when you were?
It was someone's house that was rented, and the person, I think someone lives there now. It was somewhere random in Ikeja. It was a building converted to a studio, and the person has probably taken their house back. So bringing it here would have cost a lot of money, pretty much, and there was no money. Yeah, so that was actually the main thing, and it's a private organization. My personal opinion now, and I'm not speaking for any organization, but I feel like, it's a private business. The fact that it's called Big Brother Nigeria doesn't make it. Nigerian movies are not always shot in Nigeria. You know what I mean? And the most important thing about the show was the content, not necessarily where it was shot. And I think the content was unbelievably Nigerian, from the housemates to tasks to the foods they ate to the dramas they presented. Everything about it was Nigerian. So
I think that was perhaps I think when it came to the eviction shows, I think that's when you didn't get the proper you didn't get the proper feel. But I understand, because I did also speak to YJ. The voice wasn't shot in Nigeria. People were upset about that, and she explained that in terms of the cost and the cost and the what should I say, is it the mechanics or whatever, shooting it here would have just been incredible.
It's extremely technical, because I think what it just puts a challenge on all of us. It just says that we don't have proper studios, and I'm not talking studio booths, I'm talking like studios. Everybody who came to the house in South Africa and saw just the MCR, which is the control room for the house, was blown away. simply at the sort of equipment that were there. You know, people just watch the show and think, oh, it's just 3 cameramen and EBUKA that are behind this show.
And maybe he's like a cameraman when he's on,
exactly.
on the mic.
There's literally like on the clock. There's a 24-hour show.
Yeah,
The MCR had close to 60 TV screens, all working at the same time. There was just so much behind this, and this building had to function 24 hours a day. You know, so if you walk in there, you understand that we actually don't have this here. It's the sad truth, but it is the truth. And until we're able to get to that point where, because what would have happened is, okay, we had to move this equipment here temporarily for 3 months and then take them back. But we couldn't afford to do that.
Okay, all right. So basically, it was the main reason why Big Brother
money.
Nigeria wasn't shot here is because of money. Because some people were like, oh well, we have studios now, we have houses, we have this, we've got the people, we've got the technical, I guess people, everything. So do you think? I imagine that you've been signed on for the next season.
I don't know that there's a next season yet.
What?
I know that there's
even because I know you, I'm getting messages from people saying, "Oh, I hear that there's another Big Brother. Please, can you help me speak to EBUKA?"
You should see my DMs, my EBUKA. If I don't get in that house, I'm like, nobody has said anything categorically.
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's a woman sentiment that because of how successful, exactly.
Yes,
it's been a successful season.
Yes,
so
I'm
naturally,
expecting. You did a great job, and I'm expecting that they'll sign you on.
It would be nice to have a second season for sure.
So if there is another season of Big Brother Nigeria, will it be shot here?
I also can't say for now, because the truth is it also will depend on what the sponsorship looks like, because MultiChoice can only put so much money into it, and then the rest will have to come from sponsorship. If they get the kind of money that they think will make them do it here, of course I'm sure they'll be glad to do it here. I mean, it's a Nigerian show, why not? So if they want to do a second season and they feel like, we haven't also got any kind of funding, and we believe that a second season is very important, then it's up to them. I really can't speak for them.
So I heard that there were lots of people at the beginning of the show, before the show started. You said that there were a lot of brands that didn't really have faith in Big Brother Nigeria. They weren't quite sure how big it was going to be. But I heard that towards like halfway through the show, there were lots of brands that were like, "Pick me! I want to support. I want to be."
The show literally started with, I think, 3 sponsors on day 1.
Yeah, PayPal got lots of mileage.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, and which is why, I mean, I'm not a spokesperson of PayPal, but you have to give them some credit for having faith, pretty much, because most people didn't, and the show started with 3 sponsors, and it was like, okay, let's see how this goes. By the second week, I think brands realized that, oh, that's all everybody's talking about on social media. By the end of the show, we had over 13 sponsors. I mean, that says a lot. Because people literally started jumping in. We had someone sign up on the last week,
Wow.
We had a brand come on literally the final week of the show. They were like, we don't care, let's just do it for a week. They just wanted something out of it.
Wow. So I think there are probably like enough sponsors and everything to make sure hopefully.
I mean, it would be great to have it here. I don't know how the eviction shows will happen here. We'll probably need a stadium.
But then I feel that people will probably find out where the house is
and just jump fence.
There you go. There's a good chance that's gonna happen. All right. So if you have any questions for EBUKA, please send us a tweet. Twitter.com/thebeat999fm. Twitter.com/thebeat999fm. Now, let's talk about your outfits. Some were very, you look dapper. You look dapper throughout.
Thank you very much.
There was, of course, the trouser incident. So, let me actually tell you, I didn't even realize. So I Googled you because I wanted to post a picture on my Instagram. And I Googled Big Brother, I Googled EBUKA Big Brother Nigeria. And you know what came up? A lot of pictures where they called you Mr. Cassava. That was actually, I promise you, if you do a search on Google now and you put EBUKA Big Brother Nigeria, you just get the real Mr. Cassava. That's what you see. So let's talk about that particular outfit. Big shout out to Mai. Did you guys plan that together?
It's.
Were you thinking, let's give them something to really talk about?
Toolz, you've done TV, you've done reality shows, and you know how everything is different on TV. To be very honest, after the show, so the show ended, right? That episode, and that episode was supposed to be a big deal because that was the day we introduced 2 new fake housemates. Yeah. So that was supposed to be the highlights of the show. So I turned on my phone. Whenever my phone comes on, I don't know why you're laughing.
I'm sorry.
Whenever I turn on my phone right after the show, the first person I go to is my wife to check her WhatsApp. Just like, how was the show? What did you think of it? Watching and everything. And she just says, Ebuka. I saw a message from her. She just said, you know what, Ebuka, just go on Twitter. And I'm like, this is different. Because usually she would be like, oh, you did well, or you were nervous, or whatever it is. But she was like, oh, just go on Twitter. And I went on Twitter, and I was like, whoa. Now, an hour, 30 minutes, 2 hours of this show, nobody in the studio saw that, right? Because there's a director, there's a producer, they're literally like...
Nobody saw it?
No. So I want to blame lighting for this. Because even the studio audience, we had commercial breaks where the makeup artists would come and adjust whatever they were adjusting, and nobody ever thought anything went wrong. So it was weird when we saw the camera angles, and even the guys watching in the MCR didn't see it. And I'm just like, okay, this is... And it was literally throughout the episode. I'm like, okay,
oh my God.
Run the show. Did all of us meet up and say, yes, T-Boss must win?
Oh,
like,
so for the crew, for the behind-the-scenes crew, who was their favorite?
Everybody had different people. The cameramen had their favorites for different reasons because they were closest to the housemates. You know, there were camera windows literally in the house. Yeah. Those ones had their favorites. If you go ask them, they'll be like, because they saw a lot more than everybody else. They saw them.
Who were like the top three?
It was weird. There were a lot of a good mix. In the final, interestingly, Debbie Rice had a lot of fans. Bisola, of course, was a lot of people's favorites.
You don't like Debbie Rice?
Oh, well,
is it just like
don't say that.
Is it just because of the guitar?
No, I have the problems. See,
I feel like if you were in the house, you'd probably smash.
Should I tell you why that guitar? Why I didn't talk about that guitar? There were things I had a problem with in that house: the guitar, and the Words, the card game they played, the Words game. Those two things annoyed me, not because of the people doing it, but because of the fact that it distracted them from being housemates. So whenever the guitar came up, or whenever they played the card games, they literally did nothing else, and it would go on for endless hours. I'm like, 3-4 hours, you guys are still playing this card. Can we give us something? Because I remember in our season we went in with card games as well, and they told us to bring books that we could read. By the second week, they seized all of them because they said the viewers were complaining and they couldn't stand the fact that that was all we did. So of course, the guitar wasn't necessarily about Debbie Rice. It was just the fact that it was her go-to whenever she just wanted to zone out, and she would be on it for hours.
Who had?
But as a person, I thought she was great.
Somebody had the mouth organ. Somebody had.
That was Bassi.
That was I was in the salon one day, and then I think for about 20 minutes he kept playing it, and I really wanted to send you a text and say
go in and reach in,
just smash it, grab it from his mouth and just
I really couldn't stand the card game. They played that Words.
Yeah, the mouth organ.
They played the Words forever. Like I couldn't.
Okay, so we have been talking about T-Boss. Over the weekend she was talked about again because AY did a show over the weekend over the Easter break. And he brought T-Boss and Kemen on stage. Everybody knows about the whole, what apparently happened. But let me ask you, what are your thoughts on that? So Kemen was disqualified because he was seen inappropriately touching, T-Boss while she was sleeping. So what did we not see?
What did we not see? There's a lot I can't talk about, and this is not necessarily from me dodging questions. It's just I'm not in the capacity to speak on this, right? Because it was a very big deal. I'm just going to say that people need to understand that there's never a decision that's taken on a show like this that's based on sentiment. I know how long it took for that decision to be taken, for that's Kemen's disqualification. There were endless hours, I'm talking hours from Lagos to Johannesburg to the Netherlands on what should happen. And it took about 7-8 hours before a decision was reached. And we should also know that Big Brother was, quote unquote, sees everything. There are camera angles everywhere, so it wasn't just one shot that was watched and reviewed before a decision was made. So that's
we saw one angle.
That's the viewers saw one. So that's what I'm saying. The organizers saw much more than just that one before reaching a decision. And it's also important to know that yes, both of them were called into their room separately to also get asked what they thought about the situation and did you give your consent, all of that, blah blah blah. So decision was made, and I think the organizers would, whenever they want, address that. But going forward, I think it's a very simple thing for me, to be very honest. And I'm not one of those who will say, oh, I have a daughter. Now I understand that women shouldn't be. I don't think you need to have a daughter or a mother or a sister to understand that sexual harassment or sexual molestation, rape, whatever it is
wrong.
Is wrong.
Yeah.
And this is not even just about Kemen now. And I'm not, like I said, I had nothing to do with his decision, him being disqualified. So. In a wider picture. If
you were like the main decision maker, would you have disqualified him as well?
I don't know. Why I say I don't know is because I didn't see what they saw, right? I didn't see what they saw. it's hard for me to base my decision on, because I'm not an organizer. I'm actually just the presenter of the show. So I didn't see what
But
they
you're
saw. They
like,
reviewed
you're
a
the
lot.
face now.
I'm the face of the show. Yeah, I understand that.
So
they saw a lot more than I did.
It's
All I
almost
was told
like
was,
your money,
and I was told
everything.
that episode was crazy, because we do our rehearsals endless hours before the show starts. Literally 15 minutes before the show starts. Like, my producer calls me and says, "Yo, change of plans. Kemen has been disqualified." My entire script changed. So I went on stage that day not knowing what I was going to say. It was a hectic episode, but I just thank God I went through it. So I'm just going to say, I mean, I don't think there's certain things that should be joked about. I think I respect AY. I mean, he's been in the industry for quite a while. I want to believe he didn't do that from a mean place. If he did, it would be very unfortunate. But I don't know what his reasons were for doing that.
Well, I think he was.
I wasn't at the show. I haven't even seen the clips, but I've seen a lot of people go on and on talk about it.
I've seen one or two clips, and I mean, he brought Kemen on stage, and he was talking about how people should, forgive Kemen, and and I can't remember exactly what he said, but it was more like, oh, he didn't kill anyone, so you guys should forgive him.
What I have a problem with generally is victim shaming. Now, people have said, oh, T-Boss was awake. T-Boss wasn't awake. T-Boss consented. T-Boss walked around naked. That shouldn't be the topic of discussion right now. We need to just leave it alone. Whatever happened has happened. Let the people who were involved deal with it the way they want to.
Do you think T-Boss should press charges?
I don't know. It's up to her. To be very honest, it's up to her. She's going to have to, speak to whoever she wants to speak to. I don't know what's going to happen going forward, but I mean, it's a very, very sensitive issue. And I think we tend to trivialize a lot of things. And this just does for me is, I've been saying is, if something like this happened on camera and there's this reaction, imagine what happens when you just walk up to someone and say, oh, I was raped, and there's no evidence, So it just puts a lot of things in perspective for me.
I think for me the most worrying has been when you see comments like when Koji catches you and stuff, and you're thinking, are you saying?
I mean, like I said, I wasn't at AY's show and I didn't really see the clip, but I've seen a lot of people tweet fights on the entire show, and those for those against, and it's just been very disheartening. And for me, it's not even about protecting either or one of the housemates. It's just the sort of comments that have been expressed. About not knowing what consent is, not knowing what consent should be, not knowing what sexual harassment is, not like just little things like that, and it puts a lot of things. And these are graduates, these are regular middle class Nigerians who you would think would know better. So it's been very heartbreaking reading a lot of those comments, and you just wonder, where do we start?
Yeah, but I do agree with you on that, because it's actually very scary if you think about the kind of jokes that the certain comedians say, and then the fact that people laugh and it's like, oh yes, if I buy you dinner, I deserve to get something.
You can't say that to me.
Yeah, so it's actually quite scary, because pretty much like you said, I think a lot of people don't actually understand what consent is.
Yeah.
And they feel like if I do this, I'm getting that. There's no discussion.
Why did you eat my food? Why did you take the phone?
Why did you collect the bag?
Why did you take the taxi money? Things like that. And it's very sad. It's very sad. And I was hoping that this would be an opportunity for a conversation to start.
Yeah.
The conversation is happening, but I'm not sure I like the kind of conversation that's happening.
You don't like the direction.
Yeah.
Some people have also expressed concern and confusion as to why Kemen isn't being treated like he was disqualified. He's being treated like he's, just a contestant that got voted out. So people are saying, why is he still, why does it still seem like he's getting the same benefits as the other housemates? I mean, a lot of the shows, a lot of the, PR things that the other housemates have been at, he's been there.
Yeah. Well, like I said, once again, I'm not an organizer, but I believe that at this point, this is not me speaking for MultiChoice or Mnet or whatever, or Endemol, who are the organizers of the show, but the show has ended. And after Friday, which was when the party for the winner was held, I think at that point the organizers are done with the housemates pretty much.
Yeah.
They've given the prize money, they've given you your car, they've moved on to other things. So any event now where if it's a sponsor of the show organizing the show, then the sponsor would have to probably answer why they felt the need, or I don't even know if it was a sponsor who invited him, but I mean, he showed up there. I don't know.
Because I think that surprises
at this point, the organizers can't. I think it's unfair to blame the organizers at this point for him attending things with the other housemates, because the organizers are done with the housemates. They're done with the housemates. They moved on to other things.
I mean, there are other sort of events that have taken place that you see him, he's there, and it's almost like, okay, what he did was serious enough for him to be disqualified, but now that the show's done.
I understand that conflict, and I mean, even I have also wondered as well. But I don't know. It's very hard to say. Like I said, it's hard for me to speak for any of them because these are organizations that I believe are strong enough to answer these questions and explain to people why they believe he should be given quote unquote a second chance, like other people have said, or should be invited back. I mean, it's their call, to be very honest, and I guess they'd be better place to answer.
Nake Joseph says, I'm beginning to feel like Ebuka is taking up the role of Lai Mohammed for in Nigeria. I love his evasive ways with the questions. Ebuka's a lawyer. Ebuka's a lawyer.
Let's be clear.
If he was a politician, if I was saying to him, did you steal this money? He'd be like, what exactly is the definition of stealing? What exactly is was it my money?
There's a difference between not giving you the answer you want to hear. You want me to say, oh, this is my favorite housemate. I hated this guy. This guy is dirty. This one smells. This one is pregnant. I don't have those information.
No, but I would like to hear you kind of say more like, okay, I don't feel like you have to say I hated this person, like I couldn't stand this person, because I'm sure you saw from the comments some people were carrying this Big Brother issue on their heads, like people were doing fundraisers, people were doing prayer sessions. There was one picture I saw or a clip where they had Ife's picture in a Bible. And they were like prayer warriors were around the Bible, and I was just like,
that was quite insane.
I mean, calm down.
There were housemates that I liked for certain things. Let's be fair, and I think it was pretty obvious. I really liked Summer when the show started. I was pretty sad that he left early, but I mean, two people had to leave that day, and he had the second highest votes on the day. Yeah. Because it was Efe, Beyonce, and Summer that were up that day. Efe had the highest votes. Summer had the second highest votes. Beyonce had the least votes on the first day, but they both had to leave. I really liked Summer. I liked Uriel, mostly for her diary sessions. I thought she was unbelievably funny. She used to give us gist. And anybody who comes to the diary room and tells you, yo, this is what is happening in the house, you love them because you don't see everything. And they can give you gist. Uriel's diary session were literally like 10-15 minutes. She went on and on. So I obviously missed that when she left. I liked Coco Ice. Coco Ice was not one of the most popular housemates in the house. She also left quite early. She left in the third week after Summer.
Is it Coco Ice the one with the shaved head?
No, that's Marvis.
Okay.
Coco Ice left on the third or fourth week or so.
Okay.
I really liked her a lot because you could tell she wasn't very comfortable in the house with a lot of people, but she didn't necessarily try to be with anybody. She was her own person. And I thought that was very nice. I mean, you don't forget that a lot. She didn't try to fit in as much as she smoked when she wanted to smoke. She hung out on her own. You don't find that very well. We just say, you know what, I'm just going to be by myself and hang out. She stood up to people who other people didn't necessarily stand up to. Yeah. So I like that about her. There were people I liked for several.
So if you were, let's say you were the organizer, you were the guy at the top now, and you weren't, like you said, just a presenter. Yeah. Let's talk about the grand finale. Yeah. So obviously we had Efe, we had T-Boss, we had Bisola. Would you have put them forward as in the grand finale? Would you have put them forward, or would you have probably had like different people?
I thought they were actually the perfect three.
Ebuka!
No, seriously. Should I tell you what I would have changed?
Should I
tell you what I would have changed?
Yeah, okay.
And this is no disrespect to Bisola. I love Bisola a lot. But I honestly wanted T-Boss to be second.
Why?
Why? Because I felt like Nigerians would have gone mad seeing Efe and T-Boss stand as the top two. You know, when the votes are coming out, I was like, this would actually be fun if T-Boss and Efe are the final two. I thought it would have been amazing television. Yeah. To just see this amazing
social media would just shut
this
down.
Completely polarizing factor standing beside this guy who everybody quote unquote loved. T-Boss and Efe in my head were the ideal top two, and I just said, you know what, that would have been when it was Bisola and people were like, okay, yeah, anybody can take it, we don't really care now. But for that moment, I really, really wanted T-Boss and Efe to get it, and I would have milked it so bad. Yeah, I saw the reactions when even in the studio there, the reaction was quite shocking.
So a lot of people in the studio...
Because more than half the people in the audience there that day were Efe fans. Yeah. Because I'm sure, even when Bisola came on, I'm sure she knew Efe was going to win. Because as soon as everybody there had an Efe t-shirt on, they were all shouting, worry, you know.
Why? He wanted to take off his clothes. Why didn't you let him take off his clothes?
It's TV. Children are watching. Children actually watch.
Did they tell you not to let him do that?
In the first episode, he took his clothes off. He took his shirt and whatever. So I had to stop him midway when he was going to take his pants off. You know, and he said he was going to do that if he won. So I already had that in my head, like, yo, I need to stop this guy before. Plus, he's now a celebrity. He needs to comport himself.
People are mad at you. People are like, just let him. You just had him in a bear hug first, like, no, calm down, calm down.
Then he fell on the floor. I'm like, yeah, comport yourself. He'll be fine. You don't need to see anything anymore. Let him enjoy his money.
So if you had the power, let's go back to the finale again. If you had the power to swap one of the housemates for somebody that got evicted. Yeah. Who would you swap?
To what position now? To the final five?
No, if you could, this is the top three. The top three. So if you could...
the top three?
Yes.
Who would I take out and who would I put in?
Yeah, who would you take out? Would you put in?
I don't know. That's hard. Taking out would be hard, to be very honest. Because Bisola was extremely talented and I think she deserved to be there. T-Boss was probably the most talked about. She deserved to be there. Efe was probably the most relatable. He deserved to be there. So three of them, I think, were the ideal top three.
If you could add somebody.
If I could add somebody, I think Bali played an amazing game. Bali was probably the most strategic of any other person who was evicted. He almost got to the final.
What do you think his strategy was?
He played it safe. He was the only housemate who was never nominated. All through the entire season. The other times he was up, he was swapped by the head of house. He just never got nominated. And I think it's shocking that you would live with people and some of them actually dislike you, but you just never got nominated. Like, and he wasn't like a nice guy. I mean, nice people would be like, okay, he's nice, let's leave him. But he wasn't everybody's friend, but he still was just never. I don't know how he did it, but yeah, I thought that was really smart of him.
If you were in this season, how far do you think you would have gotten?
I don't know. The first time I did it, I was there for 7 weeks, right? And I knew at the 7th week mark, I knew I was done. I knew I was done. I got called back in 2010 to do Big Brother All Stars, which was the one Uti eventually went to, and I turned it down because I knew I wasn't going to win. And I'd see no point going to stay for another 3 months and not winning. Knowing that I won't win, I think it's very mental.
Why do you think you didn't win?
A lot of things, right? First of all, back then the voting system was different. Then you voted out who you wanted. This season you vote to save your favorite. So then there was a housemate called Joseph who had unbelievable, like his fan base was ridiculous. And in the house we had no idea. He was like, quote unquote, the T-Boss of our time.
Oh really?
Because we're just like, why is this guy sitting in this house with the housemates, And Joseph had the most fans outside the house. And unfortunately for me, I nominated Joseph every week. Because I'm just like, yeah, he needs to go. And I built up this hate.
Why did you nominate him every week?
I had no issues with him. I just thought he wasn't that fun to be with. He was just one of those guys who was just there.
Yeah.
So
he was a favorite, and because you obviously didn't like him.
In the house I didn't know. So
yeah.
And the week I was up against him. Yeah. So his fans were like, "Oh, there you are."
In your face. In your face.
Yeah.
So sometimes, obviously, with a lot of shows like this, a lot of reality shows, a lot of competitions. It's not the person that wins that ends up being the most successful. From this season, who do you think, and you cannot say, I don't know, I can't say, I'm not sure. Who do you think is going to be the most successful?
This is just me throwing it out there, and I might be wrong, I might be right, but there are people that definitely have in my head that would definitely do well. Bisola for sure. I see Bisola winning an AMVCA probably even as soon as next year.
Wow.
If she plays her cards right. Bisola is unbelievably talented. She's going to do well in Nollywood. She's definitely going to do well. She will even do well in music if she tries her music. So definitely Bisola. Basi, I think Basi is going to do very well. He seems like he would be a good MC and TV presenter, and even radio presenter. He's also an actor already. So Basi definitely would do very well.
Gifty?
I don't know. I don't know what exactly she wants to do. I know she's an actor.
I think Gifty should have like her own radio show. And she can play all these different characters.
She's already in Nollywood actually, which requires you playing characters. So she probably would do well in Nollywood. Who else? Soma I'm rooting for with his music. I'd like to see how far he'd go with it. Efe, I'm still watching, but I think he's a very, very good performer, right? Because I saw him on stage once. I saw a clip of him online performing on stage, and his performance was, he's one of those people that you would watch performing. So it's not left to him to bring the music part of things to actually perform. So I'd like to see how well he also does.
I reckon the Efe is. I'm actually surprised that he hasn't dropped a single. I figured that within a few days he would.
I think he dropped a mixtape right before he went or something like that.
But because Based on Logistics was so popular, I really thought that he would do
song,
like a song called Based. Even Diplo was here over the weekend.
Yeah.
He actually posted something
I
on
was
Instagram
like, what is going on?
saying Based on Logistics. And I was like, who's teaching you this? Enro Ayotunde Jegede says Ebuka, but Bisola never got nominated as well. She was?
Yeah, she did.
She got nominated, right?
She was up once.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
And, you're really sending us a lot of tweets. Neke says, Ebuka, people would have collapsed if and T-Boss were to be the last two.
That was what I wanted,
And then
honestly.
she went on to say Big Brother's girlfriend.
That was what I wanted. I thought that would have been great TV.
And last question or comment that I'm going to take is another one from Naked. Naked says, Ebuka, in your days in the BB house, you had a staff you carried around like a chief. It's a staff now.
So they told us to come into the house back then with an artifact that represents sort of our tribe and all of that. So I had this walking stick that's had like an Igbo man killing a lion. So I held this walking into the house, and there was this myth apparently when I was in the house, and I didn't know that was why I was not being nominated, because I wasn't nominated for 5 weeks. Yeah, and I'm from Okija. You know, Okija already has this Okija shrine thing going on. Like, that is the jazz, you know. So it's there. It's somewhere in my house in Ebuja.
Okay.
My family house in Ebuja.
Now I've asked you a few questions about the whole, T-Boss and Kemen situation. When both of them came out the house, Bisola and Triple T denied that anything happened under the sheets. They said, I think T-Boss said that, no, not T-Boss, Bisola said that she just took off her mic. You're not supposed to do that. So they took off them and they were just talking, but their heads were in different places. So, and then Triple T said the same thing, that, oh, nothing happened, we were just, what really happened?
I wasn't under the covers with them.
So that's the thing. Ebuka is not telling me.
No, but they
saw things from different angles.
I didn't see.
Was there some head
bumping? No, but with that particular one, there's no way I could. Even the organizers can't tell you what happened because they were under the sheets. To be very honest, so only both of them would say. And if they decided that they were talking, it's their word against ours. What we saw online, what we heard online.
What did you hear?
No, the clips are online. We heard someone say stop.
You guys can...
No, we heard someone say stop, and the other person say why or something. I don't know. We don't know what happened under the sheets. If they said they were talking, it's left to them to fight the demons. I don't know. It was just a very interesting clip to watch.
Yeah, and I was thinking, and I was like, I saw the clip a few times. I'm thinking, they're talking, but it's not. I don't know. I mean, it didn't look like a face-to-face conversation.
And what is also hard to believe is that I think they were both quite tipsy.
Yeah.
So I don't know what sort of conversation they were having, but hey.
Okay. Highlights of this season for you.
Whew.
I'll tell you what, from the viewers and from our listeners.
My blue pants. Honestly, highlights.
How does the part in techno song go? You say you work something.
Highlight for me, and I'm going to be very, very narcissistic here, was actually my outfits. Yeah, and I'm not talking about the blue one. Like everything I used to look forward to.
Did you have a chat with Maya about that?
My Atafa body. I actually called him. I was like, yo, what did we do? And he's just like, you know what, it's alright. It was not, because nobody saw it, to be very honest. Let's just leave it at that. But yeah, I think the highlights for me was, Maya Tafo and Vodi, who were my clothiers for the season, every week they would send me an outfit. And I used to look forward to, okay, let's see what they're going to come up with this time. A few times I worked with them on what I wanted. Sometimes they just surprised me. And it was nice to see that. And it was good to see that the viewers also appreciated that. So definitely my outfit.
What about with the contestants?
With the contestants, a lot of the fights, I liked the fights. I'm not gonna lie, I liked when there was drama, like proper fights. T-Boss versus Bisola, Coco Eyes versus, I liked those heated moments, because I felt like those were the moments where they didn't care about the cameras, and they were just expressing themselves. Because even with the love connection and the kisses, you could have been playing for cameras. But a lot of the fights, you could tell were moment they were tired of storing things in there and just were letting out. Bali even fought once. Had an argument, Bali and T-Boss. I was like, okay, I didn't see this one.
That's when I think he called her stupid and she cried or something.
Yeah, I said you don't know who I am, blah blah blah. I liked the fights. I really liked the fights.
So you would know. Did she have a private jet come pick her up?
No, she didn't. Not that I know of. I don't know if she had one, but she came with the other housemates. So I don't know if the private jet just flew behind her.
And my last question for today, in your opinion, do you think the right person won? You cannot say, oh, but you know, it's how the votes are. I'm not no guys there. I don't know. So, in your opinion, do you think my person won?
Yes.
Why?
Because he played a good game. Winning Big Brother, which is, I always told them whenever I talk to them every Sunday, there's no templates to winning Big Brother. If you watch through the seasons, no two winners have been the same. You've had Karen, who was completely crazy, right? And then you've had, the next season I think was the guy from Tanzania, who was this chill guy who all the girls liked. There's no templates to winning it, right? If he just came into the house, I give him a lot of credits, right? Because he was popular from day one. And most people who get popular very early on Big Brother never win. Because you pick so early, they will get sick of you. But he stayed popular till the end, so you have to give him credit for that. It's not easy to. He walked into the house as one of the favorites, and he ended up winning. So he definitely deserves it.
Okay, all right. I know I said last question. I've got one
Yes, you
more.
did.
I've got one more. For the people, for the, you know, obviously, like you said, lots of people are on your case now saying, I have to enter, I have to be part of the next Big Brother. So do you think, what's the best strategy to have?
To do what? To get into the house?
Yes, if you manage to get into the house, what's the best strategy?
When you get into the house, or before, to get picked?
Well, to get picked, and the best strategy to have when you're in the house so you can win.
To get picked, there's really no strategy to get picked, to be very honest. You go to the auditions, you never know what they're going to ask you, right? And there are like 7 or 8 stages of auditions to get into Big Brother. And like I said, they always look for different personalities. So if they want someone who's extremely funny, if they pick the funny person, if you're the second person to come in, yeah, you might not just get picked because you already have what they're looking for. It doesn't mean you're bad at it.
So
it
they
just
have
means,
different personalities.
Yeah, so they can't pick 3 funny people or 3 loud people or 3 quiet people. So if they've gotten a personality type already, so just go there, hope for the best, be yourself. I know it's a very cliche thing to say, but they can tell when you're lying, they can tell when you're faking it. You're right, and just be yourself. In the house,
should you be everybody's friend?
No, and that's actually very dangerous. That's actually a very bad thing. I think it's always important to know, get into the house first and see the housemates and know then what you want to do, because you can't have a strategy pre and then go in. I mean, Bali even said that when he was going to go into the house to be this, and then he goes in there and he's like, okay, there's a lot of very strong people here, and he chilled. You know, you can't pre-plan it, but just get in there. And I think the one thing I always say is, the Big Brother is won in the diary room, I think, and by that I don't mean being loud or noisy in the diary room, but that's where all the strategies come into play. You know, how your diary sessions go, how you nominate strategically. So whatever you do in the diary room is going to determine how well you do in the house.
So your diary room performances or diary room...
Not just performances, how, the way you talk,
what you say,
how you say it, who you talk about, how you nominate, how sentimental you or not you are. Like I said, I know that was also one of the reasons why I didn't win. I didn't know how to nominate. I was going to the diary room and I was just like, okay, I don't really like this guy, I don't like him, he's nominated. But people like Effie, for example, went in there and he would nominate like, yo, T-Boss, because I can't stand her. Simple. I mean, just do
straightforward.
It. Go straightforward. Bali was the same way as well. Bali would literally chat with Thintel, Tony, and Bisola and go in and be like, yeah, Bisola, because she's my competition. You know, things like that.
Yeah.
So I believe the show is won in the diary room. So if you're smart enough, if you play your game well in there, you're good.
That's it. Interesting. Thank you so much for stopping by.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you very much. Well done. Well done.
You.
You managed to evade quite a few questions, but it's okay. It's
Fingers
okay.
crossed for next season.
No, but I actually feel like looking at you while you're answering the questions, I actually feel like I know now I'm pretty certain I know who your least favorite housemate was. And who your least favorite.
Don't believe anything Toolz says.
No, this is me, you know, using my other senses. Your least favorite, I think, was definitely Tony. Your least favorite. And then followed by...
These are Toolz's words, not mine.
I think Debbie Wright without the guitar, maybe you'd have been okay with. And even though you think Bisola's super talented, I think personality-wise, I think probably you guys wouldn't have gotten on so well.
So you're not doing this job very well. You're just trying to put me inside a hole.
No, I'm just saying. You liked Soma, you liked Bali, yeah. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Those are your kind of people. I get it now. In terms of the other, you know, sort of females, Coco Ice, yeah, you liked her. Gifty, I think you're a bit indifferent. T-Boss, I think it's more that what happened to her, or what happened, you know, the different situations in the house. And then I think you like T-Boss because of the controversy that she brought.
I thought she was great content. You can't take that away. If T-Boss wasn't in that house in the final 2, 3, 4 weeks, we have to accept that. And it's not, this is not me blowing anybody's trumpet. The viewers just made her that important because she was on everybody's mouth.
Yeah, still is.
She was on everybody's lips.
I mean, right
and
now,
she
Kemen
became
is still trending on
the
Twitter.
issue